Hey, what's up, everybody? It's your AEW Dynamite review show for Wednesday, February 2nd. Tonight on the show, MJF beats CM Punk in Chicago. Brandy Rhodes versus Paige Vanzant. And Brian Kendrick pulled from the show before it can even start. Yes. Johnny. Yeah. Johnny's here. What's up, Johnny?
Well, I thought that main event clearly delivered. Surprised that we actually got a whole match like that, but that was easily one of the better matches that AEW's done in a while.
Yeah, it was a really good match. MJF and CM Punk in the main event tonight. MJF picking up the win over the old punker in Chicago. Definitely the match of the night. I don't think we'll have any kind of argument about what the best match or the best thing that we saw on the show was. It was the main event. AEW doing a very un-AEW thing and opening the show with, kind of a normal match and closing the show with the best match. Usually they kind of open the show with the best match, but tonight they gave us the main event in the main event slot, which I think is the best move for pro wrestling. Put your best match on last. And that's what they did. Brian Firth in the chat. What's up, Brian? He says, hey, guys, what a main event. I agree. I thought that main event was fantastic. Great match between CM Punk and MJF. They went about 40 minutes with a few stops and starts. I did have a couple issues with the match, a couple of things I did not love about this match, but I thought overall it was very good. A few moments, though, I didn't love. Fighting through the crowd, I kind of wonder about. This, they were fighting through the crowd quite a bit at the beginning.
Right.
No countouts, no, right? I mean, it's not a no DQ, no countout match. I don't know how they're able to fight through the crowd for so long, but AEW rules, I suppose. My God, the sound effects are really jumping in here tonight.
A lot of sounds.
Yeah. But Doug Hepburn saying, see, good match. The rules were a little blurry. And I agree with that. I mean, they're fighting through the crowd. There's no count out. Punk hits MJF in the face with a beer can. It's okay. It's fine. I got no problem with it. I enjoyed it. I thought it was great. But, there's a lack of consistency sometimes with the rules, right? You complain about that a lot, John.
Yeah, but they kind of explained it a bit here, though. Commentating did, where it's like it's the main event. Wow, there's some more noise. It's the main event, so the referee was more lenient because they want a clear winner, so he let a lot of things slide.
Mm-hmm.
Like the ref was there with them, telling them to get back in the ring. Like he wasn't in the ring waiting for them; he went to them.
Yeah.
So at least it was that. Like,
yeah. No, it's okay. It's okay. It's just a little, well, why are they doing that for so long, The crowd was really into it. They did a New York sucks chant. At one point, they even did a deep dish pizza chant. Colors. Yes, MJF was wearing a pinstripe gear, kind of like Yankees-style trunks. And, of course, there's been a lot of Long Island versus Chicago talk in this feud. And, of course, this one being in CM Punk's hometown, the New York sucks chant. A little surprising to hear it from Chicago. Usually Boston people are the ones saying that, but whatever. And the deep dish pizza chant from the fans, too, I thought was funny. They were very, very into this match. This was a big one. And at 9:20, when they were both in the ring, I realized, damn, we're actually going to have a real match here. We're not going to get a 10-minute thing with a weirdo finish, and that's that. We're going to get a real lengthy match, and we got that. Very good stuff. Great wrestling. Great story told. MJF at one point wraps CM Punk's neck up with like a wrist tape and then puts a sleeper hold on him and chokes him out. So it looks like to the ref that it's just a sleeper, but actually MJF used wrist tape to wrap around Punk's neck, which didn't really make sense. Like, if you wrap a thing around a guy's neck and you hold it there, okay, but if you wrap it around and then you just kind of put your arm on top of it, that, I mean, in the sleeper hold, that wrist tape wasn't really doing any damage. You know what I mean? Like, that wrist tape wasn't choking him extra after he had wrapped it around his neck. After that, it doesn't really do anything. So that, you know, like, that was like kind of, what? Okay, I get what he's trying to convey, but in reality, if you've ever wrapped anything around somebody's neck, you know you got to hold it there for it to have some tension and give to create the choke. There's got to be some pressure. And without the pressure, it's just kind of a necklace. Right?
Right. I don't disagree with you. I think the idea was that his other hand was holding the tape the whole time, even though I don't believe it really was.
No,
yeah, I don't think it was, but I think
let go.
That's what was supposed to happen.
Yeah. Well, at first he did, but then he kind of let go and was just doing a sleeper hold, and he's supposed to be cheating here. I mean, he did cheat to get him in the position, so maybe it was just, you know, cheat to get him vulnerable and then apply the sleeper to put him away, which he did. Punk got his arm lifted, 1, 2, and then it dropped for the 3. So Punk was unconscious. They call for the bell. MJF wins. And then the referee sees the weapon that MJF was using and decides to restart the match. Which, again, like, I know I'm sounding like very critical of this match, but I did enjoy watching it. But while I'm watching it, I'm like, what? Because MJF, like, if CM Punk is unconscious, shouldn't the referee maybe wait until he stands up to restart the match? Punk was still down. Like, Punk is down on the mat. He has not revived. Punk is unconscious, right? His arm fell 3 times. He's out. MJF celebrates the win. The ref sees that MJF has cheated, goes to the ring announcer and says, no, let us restart this match. At no point does he ever check to see if CM Punk is conscious to restart the match. Like, what if he restarts the match, but Punk is still unconscious, and MJF just kicks him in the head and beats him again? Like, what's the point of the restart? Of course, that didn't happen. They wrestled quite a bit more after the restart, but I didn't like that they restarted the match with Punk still down. That's kind of weird. Like, that's not how fighting works.
No, you're right. Like, the ref should have at least gave Punk a bit of time to stand up or something, or check to make sure he was okay. Like, it's little details there. Like, they have the idea. Yeah. The idea is fine with the whole idea of restarting the match, but just completely the execution of it, it's a little bit off. They haven't really thought everything through, it seems.
Right. It was good.
But again, like, it's
like,
a little thing.
It's a little thing, but it's kind of a big glaring thing when the match is restarted and one man is still semi-conscious. Like, that shouldn't happen in a fight. You know, like, it's supposed to be real, but, you know, screw it, I guess. So then the ref restarts the match. MJF gets mad. He pushes the ref. The ref pushes MJF back because, sure. And then Punk rolls up MJF out of his unconscious state, rolls up MJF for a 2 count that the referee was fine with counting, even though he precipitated the finish in that one. But it wasn't the finish. Punk... See, again, I like the match, but I'm going to criticize it. Punk goes from unconscious to on fire in a matter of seconds. Like, he went from unconscious to jumping up and just having tons of energy and beating the shit out of MJF, hitting 20 punches in the corner, which I thought 10 was the max that you could do. Otherwise, you get disqualified, but nobody's getting disqualified here, so whatever. But he just went from like dead to super alive really quickly, which I didn't love. The reverse Rana on MJF was great from CM Punk. It was a beautiful move, and they both sold it so well. So many times you see a reverse Hurricane Rana or a Poison Rana, as it's often called, and guys just pop up, and they keep going. It's just, like a Hurricane Rana, it's the same. But this one that Punk hit, Punk looked like he landed on his head delivering it. MJF looked like he took a nasty bump taking it. This was a great moment, and they both let it marinate and let the crowd kind of ooh and ah and kind of build up. That was really great. That was beautiful, and it was perfectly done. The move was amazing. It was like, oh, shit. And then the way that they sold it afterwards, both of them, was just perfect. Perfect. MJF got a low blow on Punk behind the ref's back and rolled him up with his feet on the ropes right afterwards, but Punk kicked out at 2. Punk survived. Punk fought back, hit the Pepsi plunge, his old finishing move that he used before ever going to the WWE. Hasn't been used in 15-plus years. We have never seen CM Punk hit that in the past 15 years. He just never pulls it out. In this match, Pepsi plunge, that top rope pedigree that he used to do back in Ring of Honor when he went to WWE. He brought out the go to sleep and what was the first finish that Punk used? The chokehold thing. Cobra Clutch?
The Anaconda.
No. Anaconda Vice.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you, John. But the Pepsi plunge, that was cool, right? I wasn't expecting that move. Good that he pulled it out in this match.
Well, in the moment, too, I think worked because he was selling the whole leg thing. So, he couldn't go for the pin because it should have been over there, right? But he couldn't go for the pin. So, it was just a good moment for them to have and do in his hometown as well. I think they appreciate it probably more than anyone probably would have. So, again, for the moment, it worked.
Yeah. It wasn't the most perfectly executed Pepsi plunge, but he sold his knee there on it. And that was good. The top rope elbow drop that Punk hit on MJF, did an elbow come into contact with anybody, or did he just kind of crumple down? What happened?
Well, I think he was just selling too much. So it wasn't really an elbow in the end. It just kind of fell on him.
Yeah. So the finish came when Wardlow decides to make his presence known at ringside. MJF is down outside the ring. Wardlow faces off with CM Punk, but seems to do nothing. Wardlow does distract the referee and CM Punk. For some reason, Punk turns his back on MJF, and the referee does too, which allows MJF to get his diamond ring on his finger, punch CM Punk in the face, put it away for the ref to turn around, 1, 2, 3, and MJF wins. And it was revealed on the replay after the match that Wardlow had actually come down to the ring and slipped the diamond ring to MJF to help him get the win on Punk. So Wardlow, it seemed like, was maybe going to turn on MJF, but here he is firmly in a heel role, helping MJF get this crucial win in Chicago over CM Punk. Excellent match. MJF gets the first win. And after this match, it seems like we will see a series of matches between MJF and CM Punk, and I'm not mad at that at all. After seeing this one, fantastic match, I will watch this match over and over again. I'm good with that. Can't wait to see what they do next. Great stuff.
Well, you imagine the rematch is probably going to be at the pay-per-view, right? More than likely.
Makes sense, right? 6 weeks away. A little less than 6 weeks, I think. It's far less. Hold on. Pay-per-view. I'll tell you how many Dynamites we got till the pay-per-view.
Almost a month away.
1, 2, 3, 4 Dynamites. 4 weeks away. 5 weeks away. If if you count this weekend, but it's 4 weeks from this Sunday.
So it comes up pretty quick. So I imagine there'll be a rematch. I mean, they could just do one-on-one again, straight up, but maybe they'll add a stipulation.
What would you like to see?
Yeah, it's tough to say. I mean, there's really not much you could really do. I mean, you could just make it last man standing, but I mean, it just makes it every other kind of extreme match. I think just make it one-on-one.
You don't do a no DQ stipulation in there? Spice it up?
You don't need that. They do it anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm. No, you're right. You're right. CM Punk doesn't really have a signature match. You know, he doesn't have like a match that he's known for. He's just known for wrestling, right? There's no Punk match.
I mean, if it was in Chicago, you call it a Chicago street fight, but it won't be in Chicago if I'm not mistaken. Pay-per-view.
Man, I'm just waiting for Jeff Hardy to show up in AEW so we could see the Jeff Hardy versus CM Punk revenge match from, I want to say, 13 years ago. I don't know if you remember this, John, but that's a match that I think needs to happen just based off the way their feud ended in WWE. Do you remember this? When Punk came out dressed?
I remember.
Remember when he came out dressed as Jeff Hardy after Jeff had left the company because of drug issues, I think? And Punk came out and like just cut a scathing promo on Jeff Hardy, how he's a drug addict and this and that and just a loser. And it was like rough. And Jeff wasn't even in the company anymore. This wasn't to like set something up. He was in TNA. It was crazy. That was crazy. And they never like met again. I wonder like how Jeff felt about that promo. That was a crazy promo. It was still one of the craziest promos in the history of CM Punk, and that's saying a lot. It's one of my favorite Punk promos ever because it was just shocking.
Well, it's just, that's unfortunately some companies do that whole mentality of like, let's beat them when they're down kind of thing. Like Jeff Hardy just got arrested too, if I'm not mistaken. They cut a promo like that. That's pretty rough. Like, wow.
It was nuts. It was nuts. But that's WWE. They do things like that. I doubt AEW would revisit it, but because based on the strength of that promo, I'd like to see them revisit it one day. But, of course, MJF is the task at hand for CM Punk right now. Punk's got to win the next one, right? Or does he?
I mean, I'm okay with MJF just winning. Like, that's fine with that. I mean,
wow.
You almost don't need to really do a rematch in a sense. Like, he should just feel like, I won, I have nothing more to prove.
I mean,
but more than likely,
he beat him twice, right?
Kind of, almost, sort of. Yeah, in a way you could say that. So there's that. But I just feel because there's a pay-per-view in 4 weeks, what else are you going to do? Of course, I think you're going to do another match.
Mm-hmm. I think that's a good idea. Shout out to Angelo Contagones, Doug Hepburn in the chat. Renee Russo says, MJF is a cheater. CM Punk should have won that match. Oh, I mean, MJF definitely did cheat to win. And I wonder if that is the actor Renee Russo. Probably. Famous actor Renee Russo. Silent by Deadly asks, did you guys like the finish for the main event? I did. I thought the finish was fine. It's exactly what you needed to get MJF a win without actually beating CM Punk outright. Cheats to win. Ref doesn't see it. Uses the gimmick diamond ring that he uses to win a lot of his big matches. We should have seen this coming, Diamond ring, MJF, 1, 2, 3. Like, that's how a lot of the MJF wins come about. I think that's good. Establish it. Establish that diamond ring as a signature weapon like Triple H's sledgehammer, So I liked it. I thought the finish was really good. I thought the match was really good. Solid stuff. I wouldn't rank it above the Bryan Hangman matches, but I thought that they did a really good job tonight. Match of the night for sure. I would rank it above the two solid matches we saw last week between Cody and Sammy and Adam Cole and Orange Cassidy. I'd say I enjoyed the Punk MJF match a little bit more than those, although Cody and Sammy was really fun. So, very, very good match, though. Very good. Where would you rank this among kind of recent AEW classics? The Bryan Hangman matches, the Cody match last week with Sammy.
Well, I think this has to be ranked the highest, in my opinion, because this
Oh.
had so much build behind it.
I mean, Bryan and Hangman went an hour. They did an hour draw, and it was amazing. I don't know. Bryan and Hangman, to me...
Yeah, but a draw, though.
Yeah, well, the rematch, then. How about that?
And that was the last year. That was, yeah, you really can't count that one because that was last year. Like this year, you were saying, right?
No, I'm saying in the past few months. I don't know. Recent history. Last year, this
Okay.
year, it's goddamn February, John. Who cares?
Well, I still go with this one because, like, they're all good matches when you think about it. But, like,
Of course.
the other matches, like, there wasn't that much build towards it. This one, like, this has been building since, like, the beginning of December, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm. Yeah, the Bryan Hangman stuff had some build, maybe not as long as this one. For me, though, I'm just such a Bryan fan. I'm always going to rank his matches over everything else, I guess. But, yeah, all great matches. Of course, all great matches. I just wanted you to rank them in favorite to least favorite. But apparently this is your favorite. This is your favorite of the AEW matches in recent history. Aside, of course, from anything Tay Conti does, right, John? Tay Conti. You saw Tay Conti tonight, John.
What has she done lately? I mean, she had the title match, and now she's just dropped off AEW television, pretty much.
Uh-huh. Well, she was on TV tonight, John, in a pull-apart brawl, which...
Oh, that's true.
I mean, we should probably talk about that, because I thought we had some good segments on Dynamite tonight. Like the Punk MJF match, probably the best bit of TV that we saw on wrestling tonight, right? The Bryan Danielson promo, though, at the beginning of the show, I thought was really good, and we'll talk about it. But the Brandy Rhodes Dan Lambert thing was the weirdest, craziest thing that happened on Dynamite tonight. Like, that was just, I mean, so much was going on in that promo. So much to unpack, John. Brandy Rhodes comes out. She's in the ring for a promo. She says, oh, everybody's so nice here in Cleveland or Chicago, I guess. It's all the same. It's cold and snowy. So Brandy establishes herself as a heel, right? She knows where she is. She did that on purpose. Cleveland, Chicago, whatever. Chicago, boo, right? Dan Lambert comes out with Scorpio Sky and Ethan Page, and they start cheering them. Which, is Dan Lambert a babyface now, John? I don't understand what's going on here.
Well, they cheered him because they wanted somebody to talk bad to Brandy, and they knew he could do it.
Right, because he's feuding with Brandy for some reason. So Dan tells Brandy that she can pretend Cody earned his spot in the company, or that the chief brand officer is a real title and not something given to her to stroke her massive ego. But Brandy cannot pretend that she isn't getting booed by this Chicago crowd. And Lambert says... the Brandy from the block accent when she comes out and pretends to get mad is as fake as her bolt-ons sticking out of her chest. He's talking about her boobs, John. Brandy's boobs. Don't talk about Brandy's boobs. Yeah, she looked at them, but still, you shouldn't. Don't talk about a lady's boobs, Dan Lambert. Dan Lambert says that Brandy can pretend... that she can't pretend, rather, that she's getting booed, that she's not getting booed while in the ring with an old, rich, conservative AEW hater. I don't know he's conservative.
He's sexist, too.
Did he say sexist as well? He's old, rich, conservative, and sexist, and he hates AEW, despite the fact that he takes home a paycheck from AEW as a contracted talent. Brandy tells Ethan Page to stop laughing because he's only there so that AEW could get closer to signing Josh Alexander. who was Ethan Page's former tag team partner in Impact Wrestling and still wrestles in Impact Wrestling. And if that's true, if AEW signed Ethan Page just so they could get closer to signing Josh Alexander, maybe they shouldn't have signed Ethan Page. Because I'll tell you, Josh Alexander's not going to move the needle. He's not going to cut the mustard. I think he's fine. He's a good wrestler, solid Canadian boy and everything. But if you're hiring guys just to get to this other guy, like, really? Why? No offense, but he's not going to change anything in AEW. He'll make less of an impact than Tony Nese or Jay Lethal. Like, what? That was a weird line. You're only here so we can get closer to Josh Alexander. I'm like, what? Is that real? That's crazy. Should have fired both of them. Hire Josh Alexander just to fire him. What the hell? I mean, I'm not trying to disrespect the guy, but would you hire anybody just to get closer to Josh Alexander? Would you pay somebody a salary that you don't want just so that you could maybe sign Josh Alexander? That was a weird line. John, have you met him? Do you want to talk about how great of a guy he is or something?
I've never met him, but like you said, like he's a good wrestler. So yeah, he'd be a good addition to AEW. There's no question about that.
Good
I just
hand.
feel that, yeah. I don't know about promo wise, but yeah, he's a good wrestler. It's just like I think they just said that line because it's probably something fans said to them. So like, oh, we'll use this line because it's an internet kind of line, so let's use it.
I guess
That's the way I saw that. I don't think AEW believes that. Like, if they do, that's kind of a bad way of doing business.
What fans think that? That
I'm
never
sure
crossed
fans
my
think
mind.
like that.
Why? I would. AEW, man, hot talent they need to sign. Josh Alexander. Once they sign him, ratings are just going to go through the roof because he's doing great for Impact Wrestling. He's really changing the game over there. Huh? Crowd chants "shut the fuck up" to Brandy, which was loud and did not stop. Like they
She
were
didn't
just,
seem too happy about it.
no, she seemed pissed. She seemed legit pissed, but I don't understand. Isn't she a heel? What do you think is going to happen, Brandy? You're getting more heat than anybody on the show. You got more heat than MJF, and MJF was wrestling their hero in their hometown. And she seemed mad that she was getting the heat. What? What was going on in this segment? This was classic AEW. A clusterfuck. Heels on heels on heels. Heat on heat on heat. And there's no babyface to speak of. Nobody is getting a shine off this. Nobody is doing better off of this. Nobody is becoming a bigger star off this. It's just a clusterfuck on TV so you could watch a car crash of a promo. Last week they had her husband and Sammy Guevara in a car crash of a match. This week they got Brandy in a car crash promo. That's what this was. This was a car crash. Dan Lambert's not a babyface. Brandy Rhodes ain't a babyface. There is no babyface. Paige Vanzant sure as hell isn't a babyface. Brandy says, hey, Dan Lambert, American Top Team. Yeah, real impressive. Your best fighter got knocked out by Jake Paul. And I'm like, who's she talking about? Tyron Woodley? I don't really know. Who? I guess Woodley fought for American Top Team at one point. I don't know. And then she's like, oh, let's not mention Amanda Nunes. She's like, maybe it's too soon. And it still hurts for you, Dan Lambert. So she didn't even, she mentioned her name, but she didn't really say what happened. And if you don't know what happened, Amanda Nunes got her ass beat by Juliana Pena as a massive favorite going in. The whole world was saying that Juliana Pena had absolutely no chance and Amanda was going to stomp a mud hole right through her, except me, who told you that Juliana Pena was going to beat that ass and to put some money down, and we did put money down, and we won big money because Juliana made her tap, tap, tap in round number 2 to the rear naked choke. That's what happened. Oh, and by the way, Dan Lambert, it's got to really sting because after Amanda lost, after your golden girl, after the greatest of all time, got beat by the new champ, Juliana Pena, she walked out of American Top Team, left the gym to go start her own. So that line from Brandy was actually pretty good because that's got to hurt for Dan Lambert. You've got Amanda Nunes, greatest of all time. She gets beat, then she leaves your gym. Getting beat is no big deal. Leaving the gym, that's got to hurt. And Brandy says, well, maybe your fighters would win more if you spent less time in AEW and more time at American Top Tits. And I was like, Top Tit? What does that mean, Top Tits? Why'd she call it American Top Tits instead of American Top Team? Do they have nice boobs over there? I don't understand. Was she talking about Paige Vanzant, maybe? I don't know what's going on there. And also, Brandy, I guess, doesn't really understand Dan Lambert's role at American Top Team. He's just the owner. He's not a coach. He's not like a martial artist who's helping train the fighters. He just owns the gym. He's just a rich guy who likes MMA, who started a big gym, takes 1% from his fighters, and it's really just, to help grow the sport. And he hires coaches. He doesn't do any coaching, so he really doesn't need to be at American Top Team. But Brandy thinks that he's helping the fighters win. American Top Tits. Why? I don't know. Dan says Brandy's family should just turn heel. Because the only face turn is at Brandy's old job when she was turned face down. Is she implying Brandy was a prostitute? Or Brandy... her old job was a ring announcer for WWE. Is he implying that she had sex to get a job in WWE? I don't really understand what he's insinuating there. However, Brandy didn't like that and delivered the weakest slap in history to Dan Lambert after that line. Like, she caressed his face with her hand. What the hell was that slap? Like, this was a clusterfuck of a promo. Lambert's basically saying, you fuck for money, Brandy. And then Brandy just, slaps his face like she's like, oh, you. What the hell was that slap? God damn.
I've seen weaker.
I've
definitely seen weaker.
It was pretty bad. Brandy needs to watch Stephanie McMahon slap people in the face and do what she does. Stephanie could slap, brother. Brandy, not so much. Stephanie slapped her brother right out of the company. We'll talk about that later.
But as much as I don't know if you like this promo or not, I found this enjoyable to watch.
Yeah.
Like, as much of a mess as it was still entertaining to watch.
Well, it's like a car crash. It's like fun. I like demolition derbies and monster trucks. Sometimes it's kind of a mess, but it's fun. Like, was this a good promo, though?
I wouldn't say it was bad because, I was interested in everything they were saying. I didn't agree with everything they were saying, but, at least I'm interested. Like, most promos, I find in wrestling these days, they're kind of boring.
Okay.
This was not boring.
Sure. But what is the point of a promo?
To get your story across.
I don't know what story they're trying to tell. Because usually in a story, there's a good and there's a bad. Who's good? Who is good? Because after Brandy nudged Lambert's face with her hand, Lambert's like, oh, I knew, Brandy, you'd be in a fighting mood. So here comes Paige Vanzant. Former MMA fighter, current bare-knuckle boxer, but really, I don't even think she's doing bare-knuckle boxing anymore. She takes sexy pictures on the internet and makes a lot of money doing that. She attacks Brandy. She's got some fighting ability, and I'm like, uh-oh, here comes Paige Vanzant. She could actually beat up Brandy. She's not beating up anybody in the UFC or even in bare-knuckle boxing, but Brandy, I think she can handle. So she attacks, and then Red Velvet and Ty Conti and Anna Jay and other jobbers show up to break them up. They were there immediately. Paige Vanzant comes out, attacks Brandy, and everybody else, all the babyface wrestlers, show up as if they were prepared for this, as if they knew this was going to happen, as if this was all orchestrated. couldn't they have given Paige Vanzant like a couple more seconds on Brandy before everybody showed up? Like, Paige ran out, attacks Brandy, and then all the babyfaces run out right away in this coordinated stop of the brawl. I don't know. And again, Brandy is a heel. Paige Vanzant is a heel. There's no babyface here. What are we trying to tell? What's the story? What's the plan? Also, Paige Vanzant's never wrestled a match in her life, and she's going to have her first match against Brandy Rhodes? Ouch. It's going to be bowling shoe ugly, pal. Good God. And that's my point with this promo. Yeah, it was fun to watch. It was crazy. It's like, what the fuck is going on here? But at the end of the day, what have we accomplished? It's a lot of AEW promos. They're weird and wild, but at the end of them, nothing is really accomplished, except for Paige Vanzant and Brandy in some sort of weird feud that could turn into a match, but, I mean, if it does, oof, could be very bad. I don't know. Is there a babyface in this? Does there need to be? Does there need to be?
Well, I think in this case, there's not. Cody, I guess, is still a face, or he wants to be. His wife, I guess, not so much. Like, if anything, they should do a mixed tag. I think that would be the best way to use that instead of just doing a one-on-one match. I don't know if one-on-one match would be a good idea. Mixed tag worked when you had Shaq.
So Cody and Brandy versus Paige Vanzant and...
I'll go with Ethan Page. Why not?
Ugh. That's a snoozer. I don't know. I think Paige Vanzant as a pro wrestler makes a lot of sense. She's athletic. She's got a great look. You know?
Mm-hmm.
She works. She's got intensity, too. She's got presence. Like, when she came out to attack Brandy, she looked mean. When Paige Vanzant came out, I was like, uh-oh, watch out, Brandy. Paige Vanzant's going to kick your ass. Pretty good.
It's going to happen. It's going to more than likely happen, I would think. If not at the pay-per-view, probably a Dynamite.
Paige Vanzant, AEW's answer to Ronda Rousey. Not quite.
Don't they have one of Rousey's horsewomen in AEW now?
Yeah, Marina Shafir. She's in AEW Dark or something, right?
I think she's the answer, isn't she?
And you know, I don't know if you saw this, but I'm going to see Shayna and Charlotte versus Ronda and Sasha at that house show on March 6th here in Laval. Ronda on a house show. I got tickets for that. That'll be cool. Ronda and Sasha in a team against the Queen and the Queen of Spades. That's good shit, pal. I like that. I like that quite a bit.
Well, as long as the show happens, things worked out better this way than the show getting delayed.
Yeah, as long as the show happens, right? Fingers crossed that everything stays open. Although, have they opened arenas to full capacity yet? No, right?
Well, they're supposed to ease restrictions by mid-February here, so
wait
and see.
Are they going to open full capacity? Like, can you go to a hockey game now at 50% capacity? What's the story with the Canadians? Are they still not playing in Montreal?
Oh no, they're playing with no fans.
Oh, okay. I thought they weren't playing at all here, but then it was too long, so they're playing with no fans here. Is that it?
That's right.
Oh, okay. No fans at all. Whew, man, it's like February 2nd, they're playing with no fans at all. March 6th, it's supposed to be full arena for a WWE house show. I don't know. Hope for the best, right? Hope for the best. Show open with Jon Moxley against Brian Kendrick? No. Wheeler Yuta. And,
I don't think they mentioned Kendrick at all.
No, they did not mention Kendrick. No, they did not. Oh, the staff here is telling us they can have 500 people at the Bell Center as of February 7th. It's a 20,000-seat arena. 500 people in that thing is basically no fans. It's not enough.
Well, again, it's a slow return.
500 people in a 20,000-seat arena. God, how much are tickets going to be for that, right? Already people pay an arm and a leg for hockey tickets, but they're terrible, right? Like they have no wins and they're really bad.
Yeah, but it's going to go to the season ticket holders pretty much. Like they're going to get so they're not really going to go on sale anyways. Tickets.
Oh, okay. Are there only 500 season ticket holders though? You'd figure there'd be more.
Yeah, but they'll get it right away first, right? They'll get the choice. So I'm just saying, like, if you want to buy a ticket, it's not going to happen.
Well, I don't, John. I certainly don't. But yeah, yeah. All right. John Moxley opens with Wheeler, Utah, because Brian Kendrick was supposed to be in this match. Now, Brian Kendrick was a trainer for WWE. He was working for NXT up until very recently. And then AEW announced that he was going to wrestle for them tonight against John Moxley. And everybody said, whoa, wait a second. I thought Brian Kendrick still worked for WWE. Guess he got released. So that was news. And then people said, hey, didn't Brian Kendrick say that Jews were reptilians? And people were like, what? He said what now? And apparently he believes in reptile people and possibly some sort of Jewish conspiracy. He said some anti-Semitic things, and AEW caught wind of it, and they said, oh, maybe let's not with this guy. And Tony Khan said, we're going to pull Brian Kendrick. We're going to do more investigation into what exactly was said, but there's no room for any kind of hate speech in AEW. And then Kendrick actually tweeted out an apology tweet. I apologize for all the hurt and embarrassment. Let's see if I can pull this up for you. So Kendrick was supposed to wrestle on Dynamite tonight and make his Dynamite debut, but then some very old comments, several years old, some very strange conspiracy theories that he believed in, and a lot of them tied to some anti-Semitism, which a lot of them seem to be for some reason. I'm not really sure why. As a Jewish man myself, I could tell you I am not a reptile. I am fully human. If I were a reptile, I would show you so we could get more views on YouTube. You know? I would definitely do that. But I'm not a reptile. John, you know this. You know me. I'm not a reptile. There's Brian Kendrick. He says, I apologize for all the hurt and embarrassment I've caused with my words. These are not my beliefs and never were beliefs of mine, and I crossed the line. Well, then why did you say it? I don't say I believe in reptile people unless I really do. I don't know. Seems weird. I spread the most vile comments without thinking of the damage it would cause. I will live with this regret for the rest of my life. I am truly sorry for the pain I have caused. All right. Whatever. Here's the thing. I don't really care about what he said. A lot of wrestlers believe a lot of weird shit, and it is what it is. I don't think he believes Jews are lizard people, and if he does, well, I mean, he's fucking crazy. You know, it's not that he's evil, it's that he's an insane person with no base in logic. If he believes that there are a race of lizard people walking the earth, I think he's got more problems than racism or anti-Semitism. I think he's a complete fucking nutcase. All that said, I don't need to see him in AEW. Not because of some weird comments that he's made, just because he hasn't been relevant in pro wrestling in like 15 years. So I don't need to see him. I don't care. They have Matt Sydal. Do they really need Brian Kendrick too? Skip him. If he's going to be a problem, if he said some weird shit, if he's got weird beliefs, if he's some weird guy who's a little crazy, skip him. I don't think we need him. Like, if it was 2002 and he was saying this stuff, I'd be like, all right, well, maybe we need him because he's really good and he's fun to watch. But it's 2022. Like, I don't need him. We can miss him. It's not that he's a bad wrestler. It's just that for the trouble that he's caused already, he's not really worth it. You know? If Kenny Omega said these things, it'd be like, well, damn, but I think we have to keep him around. But Brian Kendrick, it's like, yeah, well, it's like if, Jay Lethal said, Jews are lizards and we shouldn't trust them. You could just skip Jay Lethal. Be like, yeah, all right, get out of here. We don't need you. You know? So I think Kendrick, what he said was pretty crazy, but I've heard a lot of crazy shit on the internet. A lot of people, flat earth, lizard people, trucking things. There's all sorts of crazy things going on these days. So I don't know. I thought those truckers just kind of moved in and out of Ottawa. Apparently they've camped out and they're like terrorizing the city. That's wild. That's wild. Crazy stuff going on these days. And Brian Kendrick is really the least of my worries. So, whatever. He said some dumb shit. Fine. Do I need to see him in AEW? No. Is he worth the trouble? Probably not. So, skip him. Next. What other jabroni? Where's Paul London? Get him instead. Just whatever. Who cares?
Well, I'm going to guess you didn't hear Kendrick when he did the New Day podcast, I guess, right?
No, but I've heard that he said some crazy shit there, and I got to go back and listen to it.
Okay, well, I'll let you listen to it there. But yeah, he pretty much thinks we're all in the Matrix.
Cool.
So, yeah.
Yeah. We're all in the Matrix, simulation theory, or whatever the fuck. He can believe whatever he wants. I really don't care. I don't care. But if he's going to spout these views and some of them have some hatred behind them, and he's going to be this controversial character that's going to say weird shit, we don't need him, There's certain guys that, at a certain point in their career, you just say, yeah, I'll fuck him. It's not that I dislike him or anything, but if he's going to say that type of stuff, it's kind of like, all right, do you need to see him on TV? I sure don't. Will you suffer without seeing Brian Kendrick wrestle ever again? I won't.
Well, I think they brought him in mainly because he's friends with Bryan Danielson.
Mm-hmm.
And because he's feuding with Jon Moxley, I guess there was a tie in there. That was the only reason I think they really were going to use him for this. I don't know if they're actually going to have him on every week. But doesn't really matter now.
That's it. It doesn't matter now. And Jon Moxley beats Wheeler Yuta after the paradigm shift in about 10 minutes in the opening match. Wheeler Yuta came to the ring with Orange Cassidy and Danhausen. He needed two joke, gimmick, skinny little wrestler guys with him. God damn.
Well, to get them on the show.
I mean, Orange Cassidy and Danhausen, this guy really likes to hang out with goofballs, right? What the hell? Orange Cassidy and Danhausen should not be together. It's too much. It's overkill. It's this guy's ridiculous, and look at this guy. He's more ridiculous. Oh, you like Orange Cassidy? You think he's absurd? You like his fake kicks and his nonsense attitude? Here's Danhausen. He thinks he's some sort of evil villain. It's I could take Danhausen in one thing and Orange Cassidy in another, and I'll be fine with it. But you combine them, it's just what is this show? What is this? The Jokester Comedy Hour? What the fuck is this? These two guys together, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And Bryan Danielson came out after the match to talk to Jon Moxley after he won. He asked the crowd if they wanted to see them fight. The crowd was like, yes. And Bryan says, for a long time I wanted to fight Mox because he was different. Since Mox come back, though, we've seen a new version of him. I thought that Bryan says that he thought that Mox was the best AEW World Champion, and if he'd had a little support, he'd still be the AEW World Champion. Bryan says they shouldn't be fighting. They should be fighting together. Bryan says the fake cowboy shouldn't be a world champion. Someone dressed as a dinosaur shouldn't be a tag team champion. And a person whose main contribution to society is a vlog shouldn't be TNT champion. Bryan says they could be the AEW World Champion or Tag Team Champions together. Bryan says Wheeler Yuta comes out with jokes like Orange and Danhausen. And he wonders if they took Wheeler Yuta under their wing or got Daniel Garcia away from 2.0 or Lee Moriarty away from Matt Sydal and whatever other jabronis he's hanging out with and their joke partners and took them under their wing, maybe they could train the future of professional wrestling. And Moxley looks kind of perplexed but also intrigued and considers the offer. Bryan offers his hand to Moxley. Moxley's not sure. Bryan says, okay, don't worry. Take some time to think about it. Leaves the ring and leaves. Leaves the ringside area, goes backstage. I thought this was a great promo from Bryan Danielson. And I loved that he said, he didn't say Jungle Boy. He says the big dinosaur guy shouldn't be tag team champion. Boom. I loved it. He was saying a lot of the things that I've been saying on this show. And I loved it. I love that promo from Bryan Danielson. Serious, to the point, and he took it somewhere that I wasn't expecting. Bryan standing around Jon Moxley's matches, I thought they're going to have a wrestling match. They're going to feud. Maybe they'll still do that, but maybe not. I'd like to see Mox and Bryan team together. I think they'd be interesting together. I'd like to see them go for it. What do you think happens here?
Well, what I would like is I'd like to see the match and then them actually team together where Moxley realizes, like, oh, you were right. You beat me. Like, it's better for together. But I think they actually might just do the whole team thing instead of the match.
I like that. I thought this promo was great.
Now, who they get in this group, who knows? I mean, he threw out some names. Doesn't mean they're going to get these names. Like, I could see maybe Garcia. I don't know if they'll get to, like, Wheeler, though.
Why not? Trent and those guys treat him like a jabroni.
Like, there's not much to him, though. Like, he's just there kind of thing. Like, I guess they could, but, like, I don't know if he really would add that much to them.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know who they add or what they do, but I think that Bryan Danielson and Jon Moxley starting a faction together in AEW would be pretty damn cool. Pretty damn cool.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Like, if it happens. But, again, wait and see. This is the interesting part about this. Like, it's not set in stone. This is going this one way. It might go a different way. So, wait and see.
It's nice that they took it a slightly different direction, though, right? Just when you think you know where they're going, they take a left turn and they take you somewhere else. It seemed like, oh, yeah, Moxley, Bryan are going to wrestle. And now it's like, oh, maybe they'll become a team. Maybe they'll start a new faction. Inner Circle seems to be breaking up. Maybe this will be the new thing.
Well, we'll find out next week if the Inner Circle stays together or not. This is not the first time they've had these little get-togethers, see if we're still together. So we've been here, done that, but wait and see.
Chris Jericho did this backstage promo talking about Santana and Ortiz and how they didn't tag him in last week, and he wonders why Eddie Kingston has more influence on them than he does, and he wants to hear from them face-to-face, so it's an Inner Circle team meeting set for Dynamite next week, and attendance is mandatory, so Santana and Ortiz must attend, as does Jake Hager and Sammy Guevara. Haven't really seen Hager doing much lately, and Sammy seems to be doing his own thing, so it'll be interesting to see where Sammy Guevara fits into this. I could see him leaving the group, too.
Well, I think with Hager, isn't he going to have a fight coming up soon?
I don't know. Does he have a fight?
Okay.
Is he fighting again?
I remember him talking about it, like in an interview that he did a while back. Like, he said he wanted to fight again. And it's been a while.
I know that he has wanted to fight again, but I don't think that he has any fights official. He's got no fights right now. Nothing booked.
Okay, well, he's got nothing for AEW, so.
His last fight was October 29th, 2020. He has not fought since, and he has nothing scheduled. So we'll see what he does next week. But I don't think he's really that important. I think it's more important to see what Santana and Ortiz do Do they leave the Inner Circle next week? Is this where they break up? I think it is. I think it's about time.
Well, it's interesting because will Eddie Kingston come back next week? That's the thing. Like, I think if he comes back, then things could be really interesting. But if he doesn't, maybe they actually do the whole breakup just to have something happen this week, right? Or next week, because they won't have Eddie next week.
Mm-hmm. We'll see. I'm interested in what's going on here with Inner Circle. I think we're finally going to get to some sort of resolution with Santana and Ortiz, and that's all we can hope for. Matt Hardy backstage with his private party, the Blade and the Bunny, but not the Butcher. The Butcher is, I guess, on tour with his band, but the band broke up, so I don't know where he is. Where's the Butcher?
Yeah, I don't know. Like, he still might play with other bands, though. It's possible.
I don't know. Doesn't matter. No one misses him. Matt is mad that Private Party didn't win the tag team titles on Rampage, and he wants Isaiah Cassidy to challenge Sammy Guevara on Rampage this Friday for the TNT title so they can get some gold in their faction. Andrade shows up, and Andrade is now co-leader of this group with Matt Hardy and wonders why Private Party lost and didn't win the tag team titles. And Andrade says he doesn't want any more mistakes. And Cassidy says, I'm going to take the title tonight, and maybe I'll take your girl too. And then Matt Hardy's like, Friday on Rampage, you're going to get the... Isaiah Cassidy said tonight. I mean, they are taping the match tonight in Chicago, but it's Friday.
Right.
And then Andrade says, hey, did we sign Darby Allin? And Matt Hardy's like, he needs more dinero, mucho dinero. And Andrade's like, okay. They're trying to buy Darby Allin? Is that the deal?
Yeah, well, good luck with that. More than likely that's not going to work out, but it'll just lead to a match, more than likely. I think that's what they're building towards, a match with Andrade and Darby.
I think that could be a good match. Just the story going to it, Andrade trying to buy him is not great. I don't see why. Like, are they in negotiations with Darby? And he's like, yeah, give me more money. Like, what happened? You like my Darby impression? That's kind of how he talks. I'm Darby. I need more money for skateboards and darkness.
Well, I don't know if he talks really like that, but it's funny you do something like that. So.
He does talk like that. You ever hear his promos? I'm Darby Allin. I'm really sad. My uncle. Face paint. Jackass. Skateboarding. Sting. That's Darby. That's Darby in a nutshell. I love him. He's fantastic. He wasn't on the show tonight. No Darby. But we did see Brody King and Malachi Black get a win over Pentagon and Pac. The Dante's Inferno tag team finisher and mist to the eyes. The black mist from Malachi to the eyes of Penta. Behind the referee's back got the win. Decent match. Crowd was hot for it. Very hot for this. Especially Pentagon. Crowd was really hot for Pentagon. Big Mexican population in Chicago. And they had some Mexican flags out there. They were definitely hyped for Pentagon. I thought this match was pretty good. Next to the Punk MJF match, I thought this tag was the second best match of the night.
Like, this match was fine. I don't know if it was the second best, but...
well, what was better?
It was...
Nyla and Ruby, Moxley and Wheeler. I don't know.
I actually liked the Nyla and Ruby. I thought that was a pretty good match.
Yeah?
Yeah, I enjoyed that match. Hard hitting.
Doug likes the impression. Dave adds another impression to the repertoire. That's right, Doug. Doug likes the plushies I got back here. You see these? You see these, John? Look at that. These are 4 impressions, too. I didn't like Impact tonight. It was Dynamite Taker. I didn't like that show either. The only guy I like on the show is Lance Archer, 'cause he's over 6'7". I don't like these short guys on Dynamite. That's Undertaker.
Oh, fell down a bit there.
He's all right. Ooh, yeah, brother. Did you see CM Punk? He He dropped an elbow from the top rope that looked like garbage. Macho didn't like the top rope elbow drop. Offended him as a top rope elbow dropper, you know?
Didn't stiff him.
That's right. Hey, you know something I tell you, Johnny North? There's a lot of great wrestlers on the show tonight. CM Punk is a great wrestler. MJF is pretty good. Who's a great wrestler? My brother Owen. My brother Owen was a great wrestler. I had a great match with Owen at WrestleMania 10. He beat me, but then I beat Yokozuna in the main event. I was WWF champion. It was really a great moment. All the boys thanked me after the match. I'm really a great wrestler. Best there is, best there was, best there ever will be. Shawn Michaels is a real piece of shit, and Triple H is a garbage wrestler. Ric Flair, routine wrestler, couldn't lace my boots, brother.
Brett's got a weird tan.
Yeah, he does. He's got weird hair, too. He's got like a Jerry curl. I don't know if you saw that, but Brett looks weird. Brett's weird looking. His arm up here is tanned, like his shoulders are strangely tanned, and then his arm is white, and then his hair is very Jerry curlish. It's weird. It's not Brett hair, but hey, he's my friend.
That's fine though, Right. Someone to talk to.
I need somebody to talk to here, John. It gets lonely in pandemic times. I got a Hulk Hogan, too. I found them all yesterday at the Walmart. I've been looking for them everywhere. Found them all yesterday. And then I went back to Walmart today to get some milk and stuff, and they were all gone. These babies are flying off the shelves real fast, Johnny. I picked up a bunch yesterday, and they had a bunch in the big giant box where they had them in. I go back today to see how many they have left. They had 4 John Cenas, just lonely John Cenas just sitting there. I didn't even get the John Cena. Sucks. I didn't get the Ultimate Warrior either. I didn't like the Ultimate Warrior. But the Hogan, the Macho, the Taker, and the Brett, couldn't help myself.
Just get the best ones.
That's right, brother. You like Nyla Rose and Ruby Soho? Nyla wins after the powerbomb. It was all right. I didn't love it.
I thought it was a good, hard-hitting match. I like the ending, too.
The powerbomb?
Well, I like how it just went into it. Like, how she tried to hit the kick on the top, but she missed it. And then she got hit with the powerbomb. I don't know if that was a botch or not, but that was actually really good. That, she missed her finish, and that cost her the match.
I don't think that was a botch because it led into the finish, right?
Right, I don't think it was, but it looked good because it seemed like it may have been a botch, but I don't think it was.
Yeah. Doug Hepburn dropping a super chat. He says, totally earned a super chat, Dave. What up, Johnny? He likes the impressions. Doug always likes the impressions. Bringing out the Taker, the Brett, the Macho. We're going to have a lot of fun with these giant plushies, Doug. I'm telling you. I'm going to have a lot of fun with these guys. Especially when I'm by myself doing these Raw post shows sometimes. It's going to be me and Undertaker reviewing Raw. I thought the show was garbage. It needed more Michelle McCool. Thank you, Doug. You're the Super Chat leader tonight. Billy Ass and the Ass Boys approached Jungle Boy backstage. This was great. I actually like this. Jungle Boy attacking Billy Gunn for some reason, and then Billy and his sons just beat up Jungle Boy. And then they toss him outside the arena, and he lands on the ground, and you can see his shirt all wet, and there's snow out there. So it's cold, and it's wet. And then they toss Jungle Boy into some snow, and then Luchasaurus and Christian show up, and then the Ass Boys all run away. This was great because I know what it feels like to get wet and cold in the snow, and with a t-shirt on, he's wet, he's tossed in the snow. That is not comfortable. It's cold. I know that's real. We're Canadians. We know that there's no bullshit there. There's no work. There's no way to not feel that when your shirt is all wet with cold snow and you're just in a t-shirt. You're not comfortable, baby. It's not good. And a show that's, full of fake shit, this was the realest shit they did all show. to me, getting all snowy and wet in a T-shirt is the worst. That sounds, I mean, I felt the cold for him. I was like, oh, poor Jungle Boy. Guy's from California. He's not used to this. It's not good. I thought that was great. But then Luchasaurus showing up in full gear outside the ring, or outside the arena, rather, in his like jungle gear lucha outfit. Looked ridiculous. Christian at least shows up wearing a jacket. Luchasaurus in his Luchasaurus gear looks so stupid. It's like, dude, why are you shirtless outside? You don't have to be. Anyways, that Jungle Boy taking the snow bump was great. Did you not love that when he's like all wet from the snow? Ah, cold.
I can feel for that, but I just thought it was kind of lame because it's like, that's it. That's all they did. They threw him in the snow. Like, it's not that big of a deal. But I guess being Canadian, like, yeah, it's not a big deal. You throw in the snow, like, that happens.
Why don't you go take your T-shirt, take your sweatshirt off, go out in your T-shirt and roll around the snow, then tell me how fun that is. It sucks, man. You don't want that. That's why we wear jackets and snow pants and such.
Yeah, it's all been done.
Well, yeah, but it's not comfortable. It sucks. Do you want to go outside in a T-shirt and roll around in the snow? No, you don't. You get all wet and cold. It's terrible.
Yeah, sure, but I mean that's it. I mean, you just change your shirt afterwards. It's not that big of a deal.
Oh, but you're still wet and cold. You got to warm up and dry off. It's a whole ordeal. I don't know. That worked for me. I thought that was great. Maybe you like the cold a little bit more than I do, but I thought that was fantastic stuff. Angelo Contagonis dropping a super chat to tie up Doug. They are tied for the lead. Angelo says, now you just need to roll your eyes back. That's right. Part of the Undertaker impression. I could do that part, too. The Undertaker. Right? That was CM Punk's first loss in AEW tonight. First loss. Good way to lose your first one. Hangman Page, interviewed in the ring by Tony Schiavone about his Texas death match with Lance Archer next week. Hangman says he's been champ for 81 days and has only been able to defend the title twice. He's begging for a challenge, and he wants to fight right now. Dan Lambert and Jake the Snake come out and deliver a nonsensical promo. Lambert says some stuff about Chicago and Cleveland. I don't know what the hell he was saying. And then Cowboy starts to reply, and then Jake the Snake just kind of talks over him and rambles about Cowboy and fear and stuff. Dan Lambert doesn't need two promos on one show, especially when Johnny Hungy's not even on this show, or Jade Cargill or Britt Baker or any number of stars that you want to see on this show. Don't need Dan Lambert double booked. And then Jake the Snake should just stop talking. Why does Lance Archer have two managers, and why can neither of them do a proper promo for him? What the hell was that? That was awful. From both guys.
Well, I could understand what Jake was talking about. He was just talking about how he thinks like Hangman, is scared pretty much of Archer, and it's the setup for the whole beating that he took.
What was Lambert saying?
Yeah, wasn't really paying attention to what he was saying. Just felt like it was the same promo, just him yelling again, like nothing great.
Yeah, it was weird. Lance Archer finally showed up. He went to attack Hangman. Hangman knocked Archer into the ring steps. Then Dan Lambert grabbed a chair, but Hangman caught him, tossed him into the ring. Before he could do anything, though, Archer grabbed the chair and hit Hangman in the back, then choke-slammed Hangman on the ring steps and hit his blackout through the timekeeper's table outside the ring. That choke slam on the steps and the blackout through the table, nasty. I like Lance Archer, his managers or whatever, but man, his power moves are impactful. That choke slam on the steps.
The steps.
Yeah, did I say chair? The steps, right? Amazing.
Yep.
Amazing.
That was good. And even the table bump at the end too. it was a good segment for him. It actually made him look intimidating, which they haven't done a very good job of so far. So just too bad the title match is next week, though. So it's like, well, okay, finally, you gave him something, but now he's got to lose probably next week.
Well, probably. Come on.
Well, I say probably. It's just like we could still get a draw. They do draws.
Yeah. In a Texas death match, though, can you do a draw?
You could do a no contest kind of thing where they just battle away or something.
That's a pretty weak finish in a Texas death match. That's one of those matches where you need a finish. I think we get a finish. I think Hangman wins. Buckshot lariat, 1, 2, 3. That's how it should go. This should be a win for Hangman. It's a TV feud. This isn't a big feud. This is, a stepping stone to the next thing. Lance Archer's not a credible challenge here for the championship. He's a talented wrestler. I'm not taking anything away from him, but he hasn't been built as a main event draw in AEW, right?
Yeah, it's just too bad because I think they actually could build Archer to be a main event guy. They just didn't put the time in for it.
I think they might be building Adam Cole to be Hangman's next challenge. Cole cut a backstage promo, a different version of Adam Cole, a more serious version of Adam Cole, more direct, to the point. Says Orange Cassidy didn't beat him last week because it was a lights-out match, so it doesn't count. He's still undefeated in singles competition, and he's going to show a new side to Adam Cole, and he's going to fight Evil Uno on Rampage and hurt him. And then everybody's going to see Adam Cole for who he truly is. I thought this was good. This was a character shift for Cole. There's no Fish. There's no O'Reilly. There's no Young Bucks. This is straight-up, serious Adam Cole looking to kind of right the ship and get back to serious work away from this Orange Cassidy stuff. He's going to wrestle Evil Uno. He'll get a win over Uno. I could see them building Cole to be Hangman's next challenger. Cole needs to look more intimidating somehow. He looked like stronger here, but once he gets in his ring gear, it's kind of like, man, even for AEW, he looks small. I don't know what's going on. But he's got fans and people like him, and he's over. And I could see him as a heel going up against Hangman as the next challenge. He's undefeated in singles competition, so I could see them pushing him in that direction. And he'd be a guy that, former NXT champion, he's got some notoriety to him. He's a decent next challenge for Hangman, a guy that Hangman could feud with and then beat. And, of course, he's got the association with the Young Bucks that Hangman has too. Kenny Omega could come back and get involved in all of that. I think Adam Cole as Hangman's next opponent makes a lot of sense, especially after seeing the promo tonight. It seemed like they're trying to pivot with Adam Cole, maybe away from this trio stuff and maybe towards a more serious singles run.
Yeah, it's possible. I mean, wait and see what happens with this Rampage match. I feel the match for Hangman seems like it's a big jump right away. Like, I think he needs another match, before he faces Hangman.
Okay. So, if not Cole, then who would you book as Hangman's next challenge? Because I think after next week, when Hangman beats Lance Archer, he moves on. Is it Moxley? Is it back to Bryan? What's the pay-per-view match? It's 4 weeks away, right? 4 weeks away
Right.
is AEW Revolution in Orlando. We've established this. There's 4 more episodes of Dynamite. You got to start building towards Hangman's next challenge soon. He beats Archer next week in Atlantic City. You have 3 weeks to then build the next pay-per-view match for Hangman. Who is it? Is it Adam Cole? Is it Bryan Danielson again? Is it Jon Moxley? Is it a returning Kenny Omega? Like, who does Hangman face at Revolution in 4 weeks?
You could always do a return. It's always a good idea. I mean, you could always have
with
Kenny
Bryan
come back.
A return with Bryan or Kenny?
Yeah, I'm just gonna say Kenny. You could do that, but it just feels like with Kenny, I think you'd have more time with that. It feels kind of out of nowhere if he came back. But I mean, he was expected back in February, was he not?
I don't know. Maybe I didn't know. I don't know.
So, I mean, if he's ready to come back, it's a match that works. There's no question about it.
Is it too soon for a guy like Wardlow or maybe even MJF? MJF just beat the undefeated CM Punk tonight in Chicago. Is that not enough for him to turn around next week and say, I should be the next challenger for Hangman?
Yeah, MJF, for sure, yeah. Without question, I think he should be number one contender after a win like that. Definitely should go for the championship.
Right? It's hard to argue against that. Makes sense. Then again, Bryan and Hangman did the 1 hour draw. Hangman won the rematch. Trilogy. Makes sense. Moxley's just coming back. Moxley going up against Hangman. Makes sense too. Adam Cole could find his way there in a short time. But I think it's a little strange that Hangman has this match with Archer next week, and then you kind of have to rebuild a new challenger 3 weeks later for a pay-per-view.
Well, it's got to be someone who's already been kind of built up in a sense.
And maybe
like
even
Kenny,
has a history with Hangman, right? Like a Kenny or a Bryan.
Right.
I think if you're going to go, Archer and then a new challenger for the pay-per-view 3 weeks later, you kind of have to go back with a Bryan or a Kenny. Just because you need something that's already built in for the pay-per-view, because you don't want to start like a new... Like Moxley would be something, but there's no history between Moxley and Hangman, and then to start something and build something in 3 weeks, it's a little rushed. But with Bryan or with Kenny, it writes itself. It's right there. Makes sense.
There's options. There's definitely a lot of things they could do here.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think Kenny's probably the best if they can pull it off. If he's healthy, if he's not healthy, then yeah, maybe go with Moxley.
Yeah, but if Kenny is healthy, I think he's probably the best option for Revolution against Hangman. Do it again, Kenny and Hangman. How many one-on-one matches have they had now in AEW? I know Kenny's won at least one. Hangman's won at least one, the last one. Are they 1-1 or have they had 3?
In one-on-one matches, I believe they're 1-1, yeah.
Well, all the more reason to have the trilogy then.
Yeah, and when it easily sells right away, that match, so don't have to worry about building too much up. It works, but again, if they can pull it off.
Yeah, if Kenny's ready to go, I think that would make sense for the March 6th pay-per-view AEW Revolution. Coming up on Rampage this Friday, it'll be Adam Cole versus Evil Uno. Isaiah Cassidy challenging Sammy Guevara for the TNT title. Ricky Starks defending the FTW title against Jay Lethal. And Thunder Rosa going one-on-one with Mercedes Martinez. Pretty big match there. Thunder Rosa, Mercedes Martinez. And next week on Dynamite, all that they announced was the Inner Circle team meeting and Hangman versus Lance Archer in a Texas death match for the AEW World title. And that's AEW. Before we go, John, I know people were wondering, what happened with Shane McMahon? Shane McMahon was fired from the WWE, apparently, as a talent and even maybe as a producer of sorts. The reports are coming in from various wrestling news sites, mostly PW Insider, talking about how Shane McMahon was part of the putting together of the Royal Rumble match and was mostly focused on himself and his things and what he was doing, and there was apparently a lot of changes to the match, and a lot of turmoil was being blamed on Shane McMahon and his attitude, and apparently he got a lot of heat with people backstage, and that was that. They decided to pull the plug on Shane McMahon's current run with WWE, despite the fact that, according to the Wrestling Observer, he was booked for Elimination Chamber and WrestleMania. He is now pulled from both events, out of the company, and completely done. Kind of weird. I really wondered what exactly he did. all that's really being reported by Dave Meltzer and people like that is that Shane had an idea of what the Rumble was going to be, and then a lot of that ended up being changed. And it rubbed some people the wrong way. And Mattman is reporting that there were numerous changes for what number Bad Bunny would be in the Rumble, and apparently people were upset of that as well. Upset about that, and I guess Shane was partly responsible for the confusion around Bad Bunny. So there. And apparently Austin Theory being the Elimination Chamber match was the spot that was supposed to go to Shane. Shane McMahon was supposed to get it and be in the chamber, the Bobby Lashley Brock Lesnar chamber match, and now that's off and Austin Theory is in instead because Shane has been fired. But Angelo saying what exactly did he do is a good question. I don't know. He was involved in the planning of the Rumble and apparently said and did things in that planning that seemed to revolve around him, not really concern the other people, and was rubbing people the wrong way with what he wanted to do for himself and make himself look strong. I don't know. I would love to hear from people that were there to go into detail about what actually happened. Because right now it's just kind of rumors and vague proclamations like he rubbed people the wrong way and he changed some things in the Rumble that people didn't like. Well, what? How? Not clear. Can you figure out what the hell's going on with Shane? Getting fired from WWE? Who knew he even had a role backstage in WWE? I thought he was just a talent on TV. He goes backstage, he's got a role, then he doesn't. It's like, it changes so much with him. It's very strange.
Well, I mean, you know, he is the boss's son, so I mean, it's not too surprising. Like, they give him extra things to do, but it's kind of surprising. Like, he's been gone, and suddenly he's in charge of the Rumble. Like, pretty much they're one of the most important matches of the year. It seems weird. I'm not saying it's impossible that, you know, they actually did that, but it just seems odd that he's gone and suddenly, oh, you're going to take charge of the whole thing. It's weird.
I don't know. But again, like, if he is backstage and he's deciding to do this and he wants to do that, who's going to tell him what to do? He's Shane McMahon. So if he is kind of bossing people around, it's hard to tell him, you know, no, if he's got an idea. It's strange.
Well, I think there's more to the story that hasn't been leaked out yet, so I think you just have to wait and see on this one. And see what happens, too, with him. Like, yeah, he's gone for now, but he's come back before, too, right? So
yeah, he's a McMahon. They never leave WWE forever, right? But it's strange what's going on there with Shane, the fact that they're kind of scapegoating him. I don't know what's going on. The Rumble match was a total mess. It was one of the worst Royal Rumble matches that you've ever seen. Doug Hepburn says he thinks Shane was booking himself into big spots at the Chamber and WrestleMania as well. Silent by Deadly says, I heard Shane was supposed to have a match against Seth Freakin' at WrestleMania. Angelo Contagonis says Riddle was supposed to win the Rumble. I mean, all that is rumored, right? A lot of those are rumors out there.
I heard that rumor was denied, though. Like, apparently for weeks it's been Brock.
Yeah, I think Brock was always supposed to win the Rumble. Riddle may wind up winning the WWE Championship in the Chamber and defending it against Randy at WrestleMania. I think that's possible. I think it's also possible that Brock wins the Chamber and walks into WrestleMania as champion.
I'd go more with that, I think.
Yeah. I think Brock is going to win the Chamber. I really do.
Which is kind of weird. Like, why did we have to have Brock lose? But okay.
To do a title change in Saudi Arabia, give him something fun?
Yeah, sure. Why not, I guess. But Brock could have also walked in the Chamber and just walked out as champion as well, but whatever.
So Brock could win the Rumble. Brock had to lose at Royal Rumble so that he could find a reason to enter the Rumble so he could win the Rumble, so that he could face Roman at WrestleMania. That's how they fixed the Roman at Mania thing. You know, they set up the Roman at Mania match by having Brock win the Rumble, but they couldn't have had Brock win the Rumble if he was already champion. So they had him drop the belt so he could enter the Rumble, so that he could get his revenge on Roman Reigns at Paul Heyman at WrestleMania. And now they booked him into the Elimination Chamber so he could take the title back from Bobby. So now that the Roman match is set up, the champion versus champion stipulation could be added too. I think that's what they did.
Oh.
I really do. That makes sense, right?
I really shouldn't complain because this is what I actually want. Champion versus champion. I want one champion. So I might not agree with how they came together with it, but I'm okay with it. One champion, that's fine with me.
I think they're doing that. I really do. I think it's a little crazy,
good.
but I think they're doing it. We'll see what happens at the Chamber, which is coming up before Revolution. It'll be on the 19th of February on a Saturday afternoon, the Elimination Chamber. We'll talk more about the WWE, though, on Friday night after SmackDown, as we do every week here. Friday nights, 10 p.m. Eastern Time, right here on the Ringside Report Network. We watch SmackDown. We come on here. We talk about SmackDown with you. We watch AEW Rampage, and we do the damn thing. And I'll be back here tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, with my good friends Freddie Garcia and AJ DeLessio. I see AJ on the chat. Shout out to my man AJ. We'll be here tomorrow night talking about Jack Hermanson taking on Sean Strickland this weekend in the UFC. It'll be UFC Vegas 46 at the Apex. Hermanson versus Strickland. And then next week, very excited for Israel Adesanya versus Robert Whittaker. UFC 271, big pay-per-view coming up next Saturday, the 12th of February. We are in February. We are rocking and rolling. It's the Ringside Report Network. Don't forget to like this video. Subscribe to the channel. When you subscribe, click that bell so you get notifications every time we are on. Join the channel. Become a member. Just $5 a month supports the Ringside Report Network. Thank you to Doug Hepburn. Thank you to Angelo Contagonis, members of the team. Also, Super Chatters tonight. Doug and Angelo tied for the lead. Thank you, Doug and Angelo. Thank you to Jason Pete, member of the team as well. If you see your name in green, you know you're a member. Harold Schneider. Thank you, Harold. Go to join.ringsidereport.net if you have not already. Join.ringsidereport.net. Become a member of the team, just like Harold, just like Doug and Angelo and Jason and many others. And if you are a member of the team, you could call in to the show and talk to us live, which is always cool. If you want to do that, you can. And yes, AJ says, Happy Year of the Tiger. Chinese New Year. Happy Year of the Tiger to everyone. All of our fans out in China. We love you very much. And there was something else I wanted to tell you, John, but I can't think of it right now. Angelo Contagonis is dropping the 99-cent super chat. Angelo is the new leader. New super chat leader for the night. Thank you, Angelo. Super chat. Super chat, super chat. And Johnny, I see you with the Money to Burn mug, the Wally Byrne mug. Don't forget to check out our buddy Wally Byrne, #1 podcast in Ireland, #1 business podcast in all of Ireland. It's the Money to Burn podcast. I got my mug too from Wally. Thank you, Wally.
Hooray.
For getting those mugs to us from your show. Our good buddy Wally out in Ireland. Gegard Mousasi's fighting in Ireland and Dublin at the end of the month. I sent Wally a message. I wonder if he's going. I wonder if Wally's...
Probably.
I hope he is. Gegard Mousasi against Austin Vanderford, Paige Vanzant's husband. Mr. Vanzant is fighting Gegard in Dublin on the 25th. I hope Wally's going to that. Man, if I was in Dublin, couldn't keep me away from Gegard Mousasi fight. My God, I'd love to see Gegard. Gegard is like my favorite fighter. I'm very jealous of Wally getting to see Gegard in his hometown. I hope he got tickets. Coming up, Bellator 275 at the end of the month. Gegard Mousasi defending his middleweight championship against the undefeated Mr. Vanzant, which should be a really good fight. look out for Mr. Vanzant. I hope he loses, but he's dangerous. I'm a big Gegard fan, so that's what it is. But I mean, if Wally goes, he could probably meet Paige Vanzant and see Gegard fight. Like, that's pretty cool. So, Dublin at the end of the month. And that's it. We'll talk more MMA tomorrow with AJ and Fred. AJ says he's going to get smashed. I don't know who he's talking about. Probably Austin Vanderford is going to get smashed, he thinks. But AJ only says this because he's only heard of Gegard Mousasi and he doesn't know who Austin Vanderford is. And I'll tell him about him, and then maybe he'll learn. AJ has no idea who Austin Vanderford is. He couldn't pick him out of a lineup. He has no idea who this guy is. He knows Gegard. That's why he thinks Gegard's going to win. And I hope he does, because I love Gegard. All right, that's it. MMA Talk tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Eastern here on the Ringside Report Network. Johnny and I will be back 10 p.m. Eastern Time right after SmackDown on Friday night. Thank you, Angelo. You are the Super Chat leader. Appreciate you guys. See you again tomorrow night.